They say that a single moment can alter the course of a life, and on one bitterly cold January morning in New York City, that moment arrived for James Walker in a way that would resonate through every crevice of his existence. Desperation had at last overcome his stubborn pride. All he had ever dared to ask was $1, the simplest, most unassuming request imaginable, barely enough to buy a cup of coffee. Yet when, with trembling hands and a heart burdened by years of loss, he directed that plea toward none other than Elon Musk, neither man could have predicted the intricate tapestry of events that would soon unfold. A tapestry woven with threads of hope, dignity, and the transformative power of human connection. For decades, James Walker's life had been defined by discipline, honor, and a deep-seated commitment to duty. In his prime, he had been a proud staff sergeant in the military, a man whose every step was measured, whose every decision was guided by principles forged in the crucible of service. Evenings in his younger days were ritualistic. After long hours spent upholding security and order, he would return home to share tender moments with his beloved wife Sarah and his bright-eyed son Michael. Their modest home, though lacking in extravagance, radiated warmth and the quiet assurance of a life built on mutual respect and love. But the passage of time, ruthless and unyielding, had worn away at that once solid foundation. A slow, relentless cascade of misfortunes, first the insidious onset of heart problems and dizzy spells, then the crippling burden of hospital bills, siphoned away the stability he had so diligently earned. In less than a year, the familiar rhythms of his former life were shattered. The security guard job that had once been a steady source of pride gave way to sporadic shifts and dwindling income. With each passing day, the memories of a warm family dinner or the gentle laughter of his children seemed more like distant echoes, fading into the background of a harsh new reality. Stripped down to a few meager possessions, a battered backpack containing a couple of changes of clothes, a frayed military ID that had long ceased to evoke pride, and a faded photograph capturing moments of joy with Sarah and Michael, James found himself cast adrift on the cold, indifferent sidewalks of New York. His transformation was gradual yet absolute. Once a man whose confident stride commanded respect, he now shuffled along the pavement, swallowed by the ceaseless rush of commuters who scarcely spared him a glance. Every now and then, his weathered fingers would retrieve the 27 cents he clutched so desperately, counting them as if each coin were a precious shard of a long-lost past. To him, those coins were more than mere change. They were tiny reservoirs of hope, fragile symbols that maybe, just maybe, his life could be pieced back together. Late at night, amidst the dark silence punctuated by the distant hum of traffic, the memories of his former life would come flooding back. He recalled Sarah's gentle lullabies and the way Michael's eyes sparkled with unspoken dreams. Yet, as he sat on his makeshift cardboard bed, those memories served as both a comfort and a torment, a constant reminder of everything he had lost. The weight of regret pressed down on him as relentlessly as the winter cold, leaving him to wonder if his pride had become both his shield and his shackle. New York City, a sprawling metropolis of ambition and resilience, was at once a realm of dazzling promise and ruthless indifference. On that fateful January morning, the city presented a dual face. Towering skyscrapers shimmered in the weak light of dawn, their reflective surfaces catching the subtle hues of early sunrays, while below, the wind howled through the labyrinthine alleys and broad avenues, carrying with it the bitter chill of winter. James sat hunched by a busy subway entrance where the constant flow of humanity blurred into an endless stream of indifferent faces. Around him, sharply dressed businessmen clutched steaming cups of coffee, their eyes fixated on smartphones and glowing screens. Tourists, bundled in expensive designer coats and scarves, ambled along the sidewalks, their laughter and animated conversations filling the air, but never for him. In that moment, he was an unacknowledged fragment of the city's mosaic, a ghost whose presence was as transient as the vapor that escaped his lips with every labored breath. Every detail of the urban landscape seemed designed to emphasize his isolation. The polished marble of the subway platform contrasted starkly with the grimy, worn cardboard on which he rested. Even the light that filtered through the city's towering structures felt too bright, too alien, as if illuminating the painful gap between what life once was and what it had become. The cacophony of honking horns, chattering pedestrians, and the occasional distant siren provided a constant reminder of a world that thrived on momentum, a world in which his slow, deliberate existence was an anomaly. At times, the gusts of icy wind would sweep past him, as if trying to erase his very being. He would trace the edges of the cardboard with calloused fingers, feeling the rough texture beneath his skin, and in that sensation, he found both a palpable reminder of his struggle and an echo of the warmth he so desperately craved. In his solitude, the meager coins in his pocket shimmered with an almost sacred significance, a token of a bygone era when every cent earned was a testament to hard work and honor. Yet, amidst the relentless pulse of the city, James's heart still beat with the quiet hope of redemption. Every fleeting moment on that unforgiving pavement was a silent prayer, a yearning for a miracle that could lift him from the shadows of oblivion and restore his sense of self-worth. Just as the weight of solitude threatened to crush him entirely, a sound, a low, powerful hum, cut through the drone of urban life, and James's tired eyes lifted toward its source. A sleek, black Tesla, gleaming with modernity, rolled smoothly to a halt mere paces away. The vehicle, a symbol of progress and technological prowess, exuded an air of quiet superiority that seemed almost out of place against the grim backdrop of his reality. From the Tesla emerged Elon Musk, a figure whose name had become synonymous with audacious dreams and transformative innovation. Yet on this particular morning, beyond the public persona of a trailblazing entrepreneur, there shone a rare quality in his eyes, a deep, genuine compassion. Clad in a smart, understated jacket and flanked by a small, impeccably dressed security team and aides absorbed in their digital devices, Elon moved with a deliberate grace that belied the frenetic energy of the world around him. For James, the arrival of this visionary was nothing short of a revelation. In that brief, almost surreal moment, the boundaries between the world of cutting-edge technology and the raw, unvarnished reality of human suffering seemed to dissolve. Here was a man who had reached the pinnacles of achievement, a man whose very presence commanded attention. And yet he moved among the crowd with an almost palpable sense of empathy. His eyes, soft yet piercing, briefly met James's own, and in that silent exchange, 1,000 unspoken words were conveyed: recognition, understanding, and the promise of hope. It was as though, in that moment, the stark contrast between wealth and want, innovation and despair, collapsed into a single transformative point. James's heart, which had grown accustomed to the relentless ache of isolation, beat faster as he sensed that perhaps, just perhaps, his quiet plea for help was about to be answered. Summoning every ounce of courage that remained within his fragile frame, James rose from his battered cardboard perch. Each movement was a battle against years of accumulated weariness, a small act of defiance against a world that had rendered him invisible. His joints ached with the effort, and every step felt as though it were a monumental leap toward an uncertain future. Yet the fire of desperation and hope propelled him forward. When he finally reached a spot where even the vigilant eyes of Elon's security team could not ignore his presence, James paused. His breath came in short, ragged bursts, and his voice, soft, cracked, and laden with the gravity of countless unshed tears, broke the stillness of the cold morning. "Excuse me, sir, could you spare $1?" he managed to utter, the words trembling as if they carried the weight of a lifetime of silent suffering. For a suspended heartbeat, the ambient noises of the bustling city, horns honking, footsteps clattering on the pavement, the murmur of 1,000 busy lives, seemed to recede into nothingness. In that precious, fragile moment, time itself appeared to stand still, and the world narrowed down to the silent, profound connection between a desperate veteran and a visionary who had unexpectedly paused to listen. Elon's eyes, which moments before had scanned the crowd with the efficiency of a seasoned leader, now fixed steadily on James. In them, a deep empathy shone forth, a recognition that transcended the boundaries of social status, wealth, and the relentless pace of modern life. There, in that silent dialogue, the simple, unadorned plea of a man reduced to his most basic needs was heard clearly without judgment and with an understanding that pierced through the veneer of everyday indifference. With measured steps that spoke of a deliberate grace, Elon moved closer to James. His voice, when it finally broke the silence, was both calm and imbued with a warm firmness. "Sir," he said, his tone gentle yet resolute, "I have noticed you. I see how you tend to this little corner of the city, how you offer help without ever asking for anything in return. Please tell me your name." "James Walker," the veteran replied, his voice trembling not only with the chill of the morning, but with a nascent spark of hope that had begun to thaw the icy grip of despair. Elon's gaze softened as he noted the faded military ID tucked beneath the worn fabric of James's jacket, a remnant of a life defined by honor and sacrifice. "Mr. Walker," he said, his words imbued with quiet respect, "you served your country with integrity and courage. You deserve far more than to be overlooked on these unforgiving streets. I want to help you." A ripple of astonishment spread through the small circle of onlookers that had gathered, their expressions caught between disbelief and admiration. Even the security team, trained to maintain a strict distance, exchanged subtle glances as if in silent inquiry. There was no ostentatious display, no grand gesture intended to flaunt wealth or power. It was a moment of simple humanity, a recognition that every life, no matter how diminished by circumstance, possessed an inherent worth that could never be measured solely by material success. In that charged exchange, the disparate worlds of technological innovation and personal struggle converged. James's humble plea, "Could you spare $1?" transcended its literal meaning, transforming into a symbol of vulnerability, dignity, and the courage to seek help. And in Elon's steady, empathetic response, a bridge was built. A bridge that would carry James from the depths of isolation toward a future illuminated by possibility. Without hesitation, Elon signaled to one of his aides, whose precise, practiced movements belied a deep-seated compassion. In a flurry of coordinated gestures, Elon produced his sleek tablet and began orchestrating a series of urgent phone calls. "Mr. Walker," he announced in a tone that combined business acumen with genuine care, "please come with me. I have arranged something that will give you a fresh start, a chance to reclaim the dignity you deserve." The door of the Tesla slid open, revealing an interior that was a veritable sanctuary from the biting cold, a cocoon of modern luxury, soft lighting, and quiet reassurance. As James gingerly stepped inside, the aides surrounded him with a respectful gentleness, ensuring that every detail of his transition was handled with care. The hum of the car's engine and the subtle ambient music created a temporary haven, a retreat from the harsh realities of life on the street. Inside the vehicle, Elon detailed his plan with deliberate clarity. "There is a room waiting for you at one of our partner hotels, just 3 blocks from here," he explained, his voice a soothing mixture of assurance and purpose. "This room will be your safe haven for the next month, a place where you can rest, recover, and begin the process of rebuilding your life." Each word was carefully chosen to convey not only the logistics of his assistance, but also the deep-seated respect with which he regarded James as a human being deserving of a second chance. "And that is not all," Elon continued, leaning forward as if to physically bridge the gap between their worlds. "I have spoken with our HR department at one of our corporate towers. They are seeking someone with your background, someone who has weathered life's storms and emerged with wisdom to share. They would like to interview you for a position as a security consultant, a role tailored to your experience and designed to accommodate your health. Additionally, I have arranged for a comprehensive medical checkup at the VA Medical Center tomorrow, with all expenses covered. Through our foundation, we will expedite your housing application and provide ongoing support. This is not merely charity. It is a commitment to helping you rebuild your life with dignity." Each sentence, each promise resonated deeply within James. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, he dared to imagine a life beyond the cold pavement and endless nights of isolation. In the warm cocoon of the Tesla, as the city blurred by outside the window, the boundaries between his painful past and a hopeful future began to soften. As the Tesla meandered through the sprawling streets of New York, a vivid montage of memories unfurled before James's eyes. The rhythmic purr of the engine became the backdrop for a silent film of his past, a montage of tender moments, long-forgotten joys, and the bittersweet relics of a life once lived with purpose. He remembered the sound of Sarah's laughter echoing through their modest home, the excited chatter of Michael as he chased after dreams that seemed as boundless as the sky, and the quiet moments of reflection shared over dinner at a table set with hope. Yet, with each cherished memory came the sting of regret, a reminder of what had been lost. The proud, disciplined man he once was seemed almost like a stranger, a figure from a past too beautiful and too painful to reclaim fully. The pride that had once defined him had become a double-edged sword, shielding him from vulnerability even as it isolated him from the help he so desperately needed. In the long hours spent on the frigid pavement, his mind had often wandered between what might have been and what now was, a constant inner battle between the remnants of old glory and the harsh truths of his current existence. But now, as the Tesla glided past familiar landmarks, James felt something stir deep within, a fragile, nascent hope. Confronted by the gentle insistence of a man who embodied both futuristic vision and heartfelt compassion, he began to understand that the pride he had clung to for so long might have been as much a prison as it was a protector. In that quiet interior of the car, amid the soft glow of modern technology, he allowed himself to share his story, bit by bit, detail by detail, with a man who truly listened. "Tell me about your time in service, Mr. Walker," Elon asked softly, his tone both respectful and imbued with genuine curiosity. "What did you do, and how do those years still resonate with you?" With a slow, deliberate breath that seemed to draw from the depths of his soul, James began to recount his 22 years as a military police officer, a period marked by duty, camaraderie, and the sacrifices inherent in protecting others. He spoke of long, arduous drills, the unspoken bonds formed with fellow soldiers, and the bittersweet reality that sometimes honor came with scars that would never fully fade. "I was proud to serve," he murmured, the words heavy with both conviction and sorrow. "Those years gave me a sense of purpose, a direction that guided me through life, but I also learned that sometimes pride can be a heavy burden, one that, if not shared, can lead to isolation." Elon listened intently, nodding as he absorbed every word. "Innovation," he remarked thoughtfully, "is not only about creating marvels of technology, but also about reinventing the way we care for one another. Your journey, Mr. Walker, is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even when life's challenges seem insurmountable, there is always room for renewal." Eventually, the Tesla came to a gentle stop outside a grand, modern hotel, a structure that stood as a beacon of promise amid the urban sprawl. The hotel's sleek glass facade shimmered in the light, reflecting the myriad colors of a city awakening to possibility. As James was guided through the expansive lobby, he couldn't help but notice the careful attention to detail. Soft, ambient music, warm lighting that caressed every corner, and staff whose genuine smiles made him feel seen for the first time in years. He was led to a spacious room that was a world away from the bitter realities of the street. The room was meticulously appointed, a haven designed to soothe and inspire. Plush furnishings, a bed adorned with crisp, fresh linens, and a window that offered a breathtaking view of the city skyline all conspired to create an atmosphere of healing and renewal. A handwritten welcome note and a small vase of fresh flowers on the bedside table spoke volumes about the care that had gone into preparing this temporary refuge. That evening, as James sat at a modest dining table in the hotel's restaurant, he was served a meal that warmed him in more ways than one. The rich aroma of freshly cooked food, the gentle murmur of fellow diners engaged in quiet conversation, and the soft strains of music in the background all combined to create an oasis of comfort. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, he allowed himself to savor the simple pleasure of nourishment, a hot meal that signified not just physical sustenance, but a rekindling of hope. In that peaceful setting, every bite was a reminder that life still held the promise of better days. As he slowly savored each morsel, memories of a life once filled with joy began to resurface, mingling with the promise of the future. The room, with its gentle light and comforting silence, became a canvas upon which James painted the first tentative strokes of a new beginning. Later that afternoon, James found himself in a polished conference room high within one of Elon's corporate towers, a place where modern design met understated elegance and where every detail spoke of the limitless potential of human innovation. The room was bathed in natural light streaming through expansive windows that offered panoramic views of the bustling city below. It was a setting that could have been plucked from a magazine, a stark contrast to the cold, lonely pavement that had defined his recent past. Seated around a sleek table were a panel of executives, seasoned professionals whose eyes held both the scrutiny of business acumen and the warmth of genuine interest. They welcomed James with measured smiles and respectful nods, as if recognizing that behind the visible hardships lay a wealth of experience and wisdom that no conventional resume could capture. The interview began as a conversation, a dialogue that delved deep into the heart of his journey. James spoke of his military service, his years as a security guard, and the unforeseen cascade of events that had led him to this pivotal moment. Though his voice occasionally wavered under the weight of emotion, every word resonated with sincerity. He described not only the technical aspects of his past roles, but also the life lessons learned in the trenches of personal struggle, lessons of resilience, honor, and the power of human connection. One of the panelists, a seasoned HR director with kind, probing eyes, leaned forward and said, "Mr. Walker, your journey is remarkable. It is not merely the story of a man who has fallen on hard times, but of someone who has weathered the storm with unwavering dignity. Your experiences have imparted wisdom that can only come from truly living life, both its triumphs and its tragedies." The words, spoken softly yet confidently, filled James with a renewed sense of purpose. As the interview drew to a close, the panel offered their congratulations and expressed their eagerness to welcome him into a role that would value not just his skills, but also the profound insights born of his struggles. Stepping out of that conference room, James felt as if he had crossed an invisible threshold, a bridge leading from the darkness of despair to a future where his past was not a chain, but a cornerstone upon which he could rebuild his life. In the days and weeks following that extraordinary morning, the story of James Walker's transformation began to echo far beyond the walls of corporate offices and luxurious hotel lobbies. Local news outlets picked up the tale, a homeless veteran whose life had been turned around by the unexpected compassion of a visionary. Social media exploded with heartfelt messages, shares, and comments from people all over the world who found in his journey a source of inspiration and a call to action. Elon Musk, whose own ascent from modest beginnings to global prominence was well known, soon found his actions becoming a rallying cry for a broader vision of progress, one where technological innovation was inseparable from the responsibility to uplift those society often left behind. In press conferences and board meetings, Elon spoke with fervor about launching new initiatives designed to support veterans, the underprivileged, and all those who had been overlooked by a system that prized profit over compassion. True innovation, he proclaimed in one interview, is not solely measured by our technological achievements, but by our ability to transform lives through empathy and action. Mr. Walker's journey is a powerful reminder that every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the potential to spark monumental change. Community organizations soon rallied around his story. Local shelters, veteran support groups, and even corporate entities joined forces to create programs that promised long-term assistance. Housing initiatives, job training workshops, and comprehensive healthcare support. James was invited to share his experiences at community centers, schools, and public events, where he spoke candidly about his struggles, his failures, and the transformative power of accepting help. His message was simple yet profound. The courage to ask for help is not a sign of weakness, but the first step toward healing and renewal. The ripple effects were immediate and far-reaching. Neighbors began reaching out to those in need. Volunteers organized food drives, clothing donations, and community fundraisers. And the story of a once forgotten veteran finding new purpose resonated in boardrooms, classrooms, and dinner tables across the city. It was as if James Walker's personal journey had ignited a collective awakening, a recognition that every life held immeasurable value, and that compassion could be the most transformative force of all. In the wake of the unfolding transformation, an unexpected and deeply personal mentorship blossomed between Elon Musk and James Walker. What had begun as a single act of intervention gradually evolved into a profound bond, a relationship that defied the conventional boundaries of age, social status, and life experience. Elon, struck by James's quiet resilience and the unfiltered truth of his story, made it a priority to check in regularly. Whether through brief visits to the hotel where James was staying, impromptu phone calls during quiet afternoons, or thoughtful messages that bridged the gap between corporate corridors and the harsh reality of the street, Elon ensured that James never felt abandoned or forgotten. Their conversations, which began with the logistics of daily life and soon delved into matters of the heart, were a blend of reflective introspection and forward-thinking innovation. One rainy afternoon, as the soft patter of raindrops created a soothing cadence against the hotel's expansive windows, Elon and James found themselves seated side by side in a quiet lounge. With a cup of warm tea in hand, Elon shared his own journey. A tale of lofty ambitions, of sleepless nights spent wrestling with the challenges of transforming dreams into reality, and of the lessons learned along the way. "You know, James," he confided softly, "innovation isn't only about rockets and electric cars. It's about rebuilding lives. It's about taking the raw, unfiltered pain of the past and channeling it into something that uplifts not just ourselves, but everyone around us. Your story is a powerful reminder of that truth." James, his eyes glistening with both the weight of past sorrows and the promise of a new dawn, replied, "I spent so many years clinging to a pride that I believed was my strength, only to find that it was also my prison. Today, I see that true strength comes from the courage to accept help when you need it most. I never imagined that someone like you would take the time to understand my journey, but now I feel like I'm finally being seen for who I truly am." Their conversation stretched into the late hours of the afternoon, weaving together themes of innovation, compassion, and the importance of shared humanity. In those moments, the stark divide between a tech visionary and a battle-worn veteran melted away, replaced by a mutual understanding, a belief that every individual's story was worth hearing and that every person had the power to transform not only their own life, but also the world around them. As the days turned into weeks, the mentorship deepened. Elon's guidance was not merely transactional, it was transformative. He introduced James to programs, workshops, and networks that would further integrate him into a community of people dedicated to making a difference. Together, they envisioned new initiatives, projects that would leverage technology and corporate resources to support veterans, provide mental health services, and create sustainable pathways for reintegration into society. In this shared vision, their bond grew into a living testament to the idea that every act of kindness could spark a cascade of positive change. With the arrival of spring, as the chill of winter slowly melted away, the profound changes in James Walker's life took on a momentum of their own. The once forgotten veteran who had emerged from the shadows to reclaim his dignity now found himself at the helm of a personal and communal renaissance. His new role as a security consultant was not just a job, it was a platform from which he could share his experiences, mentor others, and influence a broader conversation about resilience and recovery. James became a passionate advocate for veterans and those marginalized by society. His journey was chronicled by local newspapers, featured on television segments, and celebrated in community gatherings. In every forum, he spoke candidly about his struggles, the pride that had once imprisoned him, the heartbreak of losing his family's warmth, and the ultimate realization that asking for help was not a betrayal of self, but an affirmation of one's humanity. His message resonated deeply, inspiring countless individuals to re-examine their own lives, reach out to those in need, and embrace the transformative power of compassion. Meanwhile, Elon Musk continued to be a tireless champion of this emerging vision. At board meetings and public events, he highlighted James Walker's story as emblematic of a larger truth. That true progress is measured not merely by technological milestones, but by the lives we uplift along the way. Under his leadership, new initiatives were launched within his companies, programs dedicated to the comprehensive support of veterans, which included not only employment opportunities but also healthcare, housing assistance, and ongoing mentorship. These initiatives, fueled by both corporate resources and the collective goodwill of the community, began to ripple outwards, touching the lives of hundreds and even thousands of individuals. James's transformation became a beacon of hope, a legacy in the making that would endure for years to come. His journey from the cold, unyielding pavement to a life of renewed purpose and dignity served as a powerful reminder that every act of kindness, no matter how small, can catalyze monumental change. In boardrooms, community centers, and quiet moments of reflection, the phrase, "sometimes a single dollar is all it takes," became a rallying cry, a call to embrace our shared responsibility to care for one another. Years later, as New York City continued to pulse with life, a vast, ever-changing mosaic of dreams and determination, James Walker's legacy endured as a testament to the transformative power of compassion. Each day, as he walked the streets he once trod as a forgotten veteran, he carried with him the indelible marks of his past and the luminous promise of a future reclaimed through resilience and kindness. On a bright, clear morning, as the city awoke to the soft glow of sunrise, James paused on a busy street corner. The faces of passers-by, once blurred by indifference, now shone with quiet recognition, a collective acknowledgement that every life matters. In that moment, he recalled the fateful plea he had made on that bitter January day, a simple request for a dollar that had ignited a chain reaction of empathy, opportunity, and profound change. As he stood there, the memories of Michael's gentle words and the silent support of his mentors swirled within him. A soft smile graced his weathered features as he thought of Elon Musk, the visionary whose unexpected act of kindness had set him on a path toward redemption. The legacy of that day was not defined by the grandeur of wealth or the spectacle of innovation, but by the enduring truth that every individual, no matter how lost, holds within them the potential for renewal. James Walker's journey, from a solitary figure on a cold sidewalk to a respected consultant and impassioned advocate for the vulnerable, remained an enduring reminder that progress is measured not only by technological achievements, but by the strength of our shared humanity. His story, now woven into the fabric of community initiatives and celebrated in countless testimonials, continued to inspire and uplift. It was a legacy built on the belief that every act of kindness, every small gesture, has the power to light the path to a new dawn. And so, as the sun rose higher over the city, illuminating its towering skyscrapers, bustling streets, and the myriad faces that filled them, one truth shone clearly. True innovation is not measured solely by what we create, but by how we care for one another. James Walker, once a forgotten veteran, had found his way back to life, not merely through charity, but through the transformative realization that every humble request, no matter how small, can be the spark that ignites the brightest flame.